So you talked about making things cheaper for the people that are coming before you. You've talked about helping them to save money and not giving them extra bills and stuff like that. What do you do as far as do you ever do anything to try to reconcile families? Because I mean, what you're dealing with families that sometimes often are coming before you based on no-fault divorce, unilateral divorce, and you have a person who wants a divorce and maybe a husband or a wife and the children who don't want it. Do you ever try to do anything that would help to reconcile them, or?
Well, the answer is we do. First of all, there is a statute that allows counseling, and if the parties are interested in getting together and counseling, and there is a hope for that, then I think what you can do is stay the proceedings and then go and see if they want to go through a counseling process to see if that works by statute. So the court will allow a brief stay on that for that purpose, and then you can encourage them to go to counseling to see if that would preserve the marriage relationship.
Okay, so do you actually do that then?
When you say actually do that,
I mean, would you tell people that, you know what?
I would encourage, the way you're phrasing it, I would say I encourage people to reconcile if possible. That is, but my job that I'm assigned to do by the district judge is to hear a case and do what I'm told to do as the district judge has assigned. But if there's a possibility as part of that assignment, I'm certainly going to recommend that they pause and take a chance to get back together.
One thing that I've read, and you're probably familiar with the statistic, that in about 8% of the cases where people file for divorce, they get remarried to each other. So here they are coming before you or some other judge saying, one person saying our marriage is irreconcilable. The Texas Family Code says even after they get divorced, they can remarry each other immediately. The next day, 2 days later, they can't marry somebody else, but they can remarry each other. But you have people that come before you, and one person is saying, you know, this marriage is shot, and yet in 8% of those instances, approximately, they get remarried to each other. I think that there are many needless divorces that take place, and that if a judge like yourself would say, we're going to recommend counseling first, we're going to put a stay on this, and maybe get the attorneys out of it, because I know of attorneys that have gone in and they've tried to antagonize things.
Well, what I think they're asking is, when they get before me, I've got to know what the issues are, and I'm going to listen to what they say. And if what they're telling me they like or what they would like done,
right,
and then I'm going to, depending on what they're saying, certainly I'm going to ask if that's what they'd like to do, is go into counseling, and should we pause this hearing, give them a possible chance to reconcile. Is this definitely the angle that they want to go? And I think if that's certainly encourage counseling. That's the purpose of the 60-day waiting period, is to give people an opportunity to think before they act. And so you really want to give them that chance. That 60 days was designed for that purpose.
I realize you cannot change legislation. You have to, you're a judge. But in other states where they have a longer waiting period, divorce rates are lower than in Texas. So there's a correlation between the two. But what I find a little bit disconcerting is that one person can say, I'm demanding a divorce, but yet the other person cannot say, I want to go to counseling. It has to be a mutual decision for counseling, but it can be a unilateral decision for divorce. And I think that there's something wrong with the family court and our system that encourages divorce, that allows it to take place on a unilateral basis. And basically a person can lose half of his or her assets, can have child support imposed on him or her, can end up going to jail because if for whatever reason he or she loses the job and can't make the child support payments, the Attorney General comes after them, has his or her picture posted on his website for child support evaders. I guess what I want to know is that as a judge, what will you do to try to say divorce is a devastation to the families, to the children, and we need to try to take some steps as a judge, not as a legislator, that can possibly reduce what some people call needless divorce, maybe minimize those cases.
I know that would become an activist judge, the answer to that question, because the legislature's job, and you need to petition the legislature, talk to your legislators to get that law changed. I look at the law and make a decision based on the law. And if you're asking, should I want to encourage that? I'm not wanting to encourage that, but I have to follow the rule of law.
I got you.
And so it's a difficult decision for me to make.
Yeah.
I may feel one way, but I have to follow that rule of law.
Yeah.
So I would say have the legislators change that and make that more available for the public. Now I'll let you know there is a statute on the counseling, and that it does exist in the family code, and there is the opportunity. But as a judge, if you come to me and I ask you, what are the issues? What can we do? I say now, some of the parents want to talk and work things out. They call that co-parenting, and you give them that opportunity to do so before you go into any kind of litigation.
Okay, no, and I appreciate what you're saying. I mean, I did testify last year in Austin about some of these statutes to change the divorce laws in Texas, and I realized that you cannot change the law from your bench. I was wondering about the options you have as a judge, but the reality is that when somebody gets divorced, when families get broken up, it costs the taxpayers even more. Because in general what you have is you have transgenerational divorce, you have children that are so traumatized by it that they may not graduate from high school, they're more at risk for a whole host of evils and ills that we will pay for later on. So I just was interested to see what your philosophy was as a judge and what you can and can't do. Talking to you, I can actually hear from you directly what you can and can't do.
Well, what I cannot do is legislate from the bench. And the way the question is phrased is you're wanting me to basically legislate, and I can't do that. I can use what's available and the tools, what's available. So you come in, and I've said this third time now, you come in and you sit down and you say, Judge, I want an opportunity to go into counseling, see what we can do to co-parent, then maybe we can resolve this through some mediation, or maybe we can do that. Then I think that's a good idea. That's what mediation is about, to give the parties a chance to make the decision together. Then you mediate for that purpose. But if that's where I'm limited, I have to follow a rule. Now, if somebody comes to me and makes the demand to go to trial and go to a divorce, then I have to go and follow the law. Yeah, that's where I am. So I'm going to encourage you to go forward as an individual and go ahead and petition your representatives, your state representatives, and go down to Austin and change the law.
Thank you. We are working on that right now. I appreciate you being honest about it. That's what I wanted to ask you. When I met you the other night at the forum, you looked like a very honest person. I liked the stuff that you were saying, but I don't know the ins and the outs from your perspective and what you can and can't do. So
I'm very restricted, and I appreciate you talking to me, but I'm really restricted, and I'm doing what the restrictions, what the family code tells me. Okay. And so if the code says I can do this, I can work within that parameter. It is very restricted, and I would encourage you, fourth time now, but I would
absolutely, to get down there and change the law.
Get down there and change that.
Absolutely, I appreciate it. Tell me more about your website, where people can follow you.
My website is munfordforjudge.com.
Okay.
Now that is just my website, and if you want to follow me, go on Facebook. Every one of us older folks have this Facebook now. It's James B. Munford for Judge.
Okay, thank you so much. I appreciate it. Thank you.
You have a good day.
Appreciate it. Thank you.